Monday morning and welcome to Korea Today, brought to you live from Seoul.
Gone with the wind or a needle in a haystack? Ruling and opposition parties are to resume their search for the missing inter-Korean summit transcript today.
Also today, for a fifth time, the two Koreas will sit down to seek a breakthrough for the Kaesong Industrial Park. Details in the headlines.
And a case to prop up medical tourism as a new growth engine. Details coming up on In Print.
Some interesting products are becoming hot items with the monsoon season. We invite you to more on Hot Clicks.
Revisiting Korea in almost half a decade, historian John Weiss from Cornell University comes with a message about history for Korean students. Like kiddie stuff, but feel like you're too old for it? Don't be shy. The kid-alt industry in Korea has a lot to offer to keep you entertained. It's Korea Today on Monday, July 22nd, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good Monday morning to you. Thank you for joining us on Korea Today.
Thank you for joining us. Good Monday morning, everyone. Not many people know this, but today is what's called Yudujeol here in Korea. I know many Koreans are tilting their heads going, what is that? It's yu as in flow and tu as in head. So it's traditionally when Koreans wash their hair and take a bath to wash away bad luck. And it's a traditional festival that dates back to the ancient Silla kingdom.
So how do you do on this Yudujeol?
Smart.
Now, the Yudu festivals, it's been traditional, and traditionally, basically, a lot of fruits are, and also not worshiping, but I would say that its festivities include rituals for a fruitful harvest. And of course, you can't leave out the traditional foods. And in Korea, when it comes to tradition, when it comes to a prosperous life as well as longevity, then we're talking about noodles, as well as a tteok, which is called sangwabyeong. And now that's the honey and red beans, as well as vegetable and meat mix of tteok, or rice cakes.
It's one of those traditional holidays, traditional festivals that are fading from people's memories. So maybe let's celebrate this day and wash your hair and maybe have some noodles for lunch.
I actually did wash my hair today.
Good. All right, let's now go to Na Hyun-kyung for a check on the day's headlines.
It all started with the hopes of settling a controversy over whether late Liberal President Roh Moo-hyun conceded to North Korea by giving up the de facto maritime border in the West Sea, but ruling and opposition lawmakers who continued their search over the weekend for the transcript of the 2007 Inter-Korean Summit talks failed to find the document.
I wish we could have concluded this matter today, but because we are still not done, we will resume the search at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
And the focus is now on who is responsible for misplacing the presidential records. A main opposition lawmaker has raised the issue with the government's lax management of confidential documents.
I cannot help but question the credibility of how presidential records have been managed by the official record keeper.
The two main rival parties will continue their search Monday morning and report to the National Assembly on the results later in the afternoon. South and North Korea will meet for the fifth time on Monday and hold working-level talks aimed at resuming operations at the joint Kaesong Industrial Park. The last four meetings failed to produce any concrete results, and many now say operations at Kaesong will likely remain suspended for a prolonged period should the two Koreas fail to achieve a breakthrough on Monday. Coming out of last week's fourth round of talks, the two sides had conflicting interpretations about the meeting. Seoul says the two did not make progress on creating a means to prevent Pyongyang from abruptly halting operations, while North Korea claims to have offered realistic measures. The business park came to a standstill after Pyongyang suddenly pulled its workers out of the complex in early April in protest against an annual Seoul-Washington joint military exercise. Law enforcement authorities in the U.S. are considering issuing an arrest warrant for President Park Geun-hye's former spokesman Yoon Chang-jung. An official at Korea's Justice Ministry reportedly said Sunday that the police and the state prosecution in Washington are discussing the matter. It's not yet been confirmed whether the warrant has been issued, but reports say that even if it is issued, it will likely be for a misdemeanor, which would not make him subject to extradition. Yoon stepped down from his post in May after being accused of sexually harassing a Korean-American intern who was assisting him during President Park's first official trip to the U.S. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's coalition has secured control of both houses of Japan's Diet for up to 3 years after Sunday's landslide victory in the upper house election. Pundits say Abe will likely focus on restoring the country's stagnant economy through his so-called Abenomics policy, but some critics worry he may focus on his nationalistic agenda soon enough, which could further strain Tokyo's ties with its neighbors, including Korea. Officials in Seoul say they will continue to work with Japan on a variety of issues while keeping a close eye on Abe's post-election movements.
Good morning, everyone. Picking right off of Kyungyoung's headlines, Sunday's upper house elections over in Japan make its appearance on a number of our front pages on this Monday. So let's go ahead and begin with Gyeongyang Shinmun. As you can see, it has the bright smile of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe with the image title, The Smile of a Victor. And here he is placing a red rose next to the name of an elected candidate at his party's headquarters. Abe's Liberal Democratic Party is poised to secure a comfortable majority of the upper house seats up for grabs together with its ruling coalition partner, the new Komeito Party. Now let's take a look at the breakdown of those numbers over at our next newspaper. Jungang Ilbo's headlines declares the victory as Japan, Abe's world for the next 3 years. And official numbers won't be out until later today, but implementing exit polls from Asahi TV as of 11 p.m. last night, 중앙일보 projects that Abe's Liberal Democratic Party will have some 115 seats, and the coalition New Komeito Party with 20 seats, giving them a total of 135, and a comfortable majority at that, considering that the majority cut line there is at 121. Now, on the other side, the main opposition Democratic Party is projected to lose some 26 seats compared to what it had prior to the elections at 86 to 60. The article says that this means the Abe government not only has a 2/3 majority in the lower house, of course, following its elections back in December, but also a possible 2/3 support in the upper house, which would make those amendments to its pacifist constitution much more plausible. Meanwhile, the image to the right shows a scene out of Sunday's East Asian Cup match that pitted the North Korean team against South Korea's, and the title reads, First Inter-Korean Women's Soccer Game in 15 Months, a Moving Match. And the caption goes on to explain that North Korea's Kim Nam-hee is helping massage the cramps out of South Korean athlete Chi So-hyun there. And of course, much more on that game coming up in sports. All right, scooting right over to 조선일보 now. It has an article on the fruitless weekend search for the transcripts of the 2007 Inter-Korean Summit meetings, and the title reads, 3-day search with experts, no transcript. Following the search on the 15th, 17th, and the 21st, lawmakers of rival parties were unable to locate the document at the National Archives of Korea. And the article says the latest inquiry stretched from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., adopting 4 to 5 different search methods, but still no transcript. Now, rival parties are divided on how to proceed from here. The ruling Saenuri Party calling for a prosecutorial investigation, whereas the main opposition Democratic Party is still calling for more time to find the document. They are slated to talk at the National Assembly later today. And heading over to 동아일보 now, it has a big story on Korea's medical tourism sector. Headline reads, "Let's promote medical tourism as an industrial policy like exports." The article takes a closer look at the potential positive impact that overseas medical tourists, particularly those from China, could have on the nation's job creation and economy at large. The newspaper contends that medical tourism is a new growth engine that could create more white-collar jobs, noting that a number of experts are calling for the government to boost this sector just as it did with exports in the 1970s. Now, the insert shows that projected impact in numerical terms. For example, 동아 projects that for every 500,000 Chinese medical tourists, there will be 5,000 more jobs in hospitals, 18,000 more jobs in tourism, and 38,000 more jobs added in the drug manufacturing as well as medical device sectors, etc. And unwrapping the hospital jobs a little bit more, the new jobs created would include a number of jobs for doctors and nurses, of course, but also those for translators and medical coordinators as well. Well, we'll go ahead and leave that story there and scoot on over to our business newspaper for today. Made Business newspaper's headline reads, "Causing SMEs to close their doors is not contract protection," going on to say that conglomerate partner company rages at political sphere. Now, the article explains that some Democratic Party lawmakers have filed for a special monitoring service on a Samsung Electronics AS, or After Service After Care Center, with the Ministry of Employment and Labor, under the pretense that its dispatch worker system was illegal, as the workers should be presumably full-time employees. The paper says that if the owner of this AS company, which is an SME, is found in the wrong, he would lose ground for operations. The repercussions, though, run deeper, it says, as if that is the case, all of the AS franchise operations in Korea will be affected and could fall under that illegal dispatch operation category. And the paper does say that out of the 9,900 AS employees working under Samsung's brand, 7,000 are dispatch workers. And that does wrap your look at what's in print on this Monday. Next up are your closing numbers from Friday's market action.
The number of surveillance cameras or security cameras, also known as CCTV cameras here, has surpassed the number 3 million nationwide.
And these surveillance cameras are becoming more and more sophisticated than ever. And the government has recently announced that it will distribute these high-tech security cameras across the country for a trial run.
Yep, and these high-tech security cameras are planned for implementation in the North Chungcheong province and then in the city of Busan starting in November of this year. And once successful, they plan to go nationwide by the first half of 2014. For a closer look at these high-tech security cameras, we have this next clip. On July 4th, the Ministry of Safety and Public Administration announced it would push for an intelligent control service as part of boosting public safety.
There will be two support services. First, a system will be installed in Jincheon, North Chungcheong province, and it will involve surveillance cameras that can detect abnormal sounds and promptly alert officials. Second, in Kumjeong-gu, Busan, a system will use information on missing children or senior citizens with dementia and compare it with images of passers-by in order to find these missing people.
If the camera picks up noise exceeding a certain decibel limit and is out of the ordinary, it turns to face the source. Also, it can be used to identify children. missing people or dementia patients who have gone missing. If information regarding missing persons is input ahead of time, the camera can cross-reference facial features and make the match.
Current surveillance cameras are limited by time and space and can be ineffective, but intelligent surveillance cameras can automatically detect images, making them very effective.
There are difficulties in preventing crime because it relies on manual detection. So with the new system, we are planning on preventing crimes from happening by using intelligent cameras.
Surveillance cameras are becoming more advanced. We looked into a camera under development that can differentiate individual sounds. If a large noise is detected, a sound analyzing device is immediately activated. Emergency bells go off and the image is sent to a control center that allows a swift dispatch to the scene.
Unlike conventional surveillance cameras, these cameras have 4 microphones and they can even detect the origin of a sound. The cameras analyze the relevance of the sounds and look for the direction and classify the sound, checking to see if it is scream and alarm system, an explosion, or other sounds related to safety.
Conventional surveillance cameras relied on manual detection. There were limits on cloudy days and low light conditions. So a sound detection system has been developed to make up for those flaws.
There are noisy environments like roads or outdoor areas. Surveillance cameras are supposed to be able to react to sounds that are 10, 20 to 30 meters away. That is why we are working on different technologies that can cover larger areas.
Surveillance cameras are becoming more than just sources of evidence for crimes and accidents. They're also becoming a means of deterrence.
The ministry will set up control centers in all 230 districts, regions, and cities by 2017. Through this service, we believe that citizens will feel much safer.
Surveillance cameras will create a safety network that can help further prevent crime and accidents. While these surveillance cameras are being credited for crime prevention, there are some other issues that come online, which is the debate of privacy, and that is a concern of many citizens and residents.
That's right. In large cities, we are said to be caught on the surveillance camera for 100 times a day on average. So it's only natural that you do worry about those things, right?
Quite staggering number if you think about it, 100 times if you're caught on camera, right?
Exactly.
And the Seoul metropolitan government is well aware of these concerns and have come up with measures to address these problems. And they said currently in Seoul, citizens and residents have to reach a consensus through a community survey to install a CCTV camera. And once that's been agreed upon, when there is a CCTV camera, they need to put up a sign in clear view notifying the presence of it and also the purpose of this surveillance camera.
Right, but still officials are not allowed to zoom in or rotate the camera without a proper reason.
Not just yet. Another thing that's illegal is the recording of sound, which can include confidential conversations between two citizens or any kind of a sound that goes in. So there is no sound being detected at the moment. Now, if you still do feel that your privacy is being breached, you can check with the webpage for more details and even file a complaint if you want to.
And while we're concerned about our privacy, it's raining cats and dogs outside our studio this morning, quite heavily too, right?
Definitely. On days like these, it feels terrible to send Dami out, but you know, someone has to do the job, and Dami's always there to do
Reporter
it.
Dami joins us from outdoors. Good morning, Dami.
Good morning.
Love your raincoat.
That's right, someone has to do the job. Good morning, everyone. Actually, gloomy morning seems to be the more appropriate saying this morning as the sun is nowhere to be seen. Right now, I am reporting live from Yongin, Gyeonggi Province, and it is currently raining cats and dogs. Here in the central regions, we can expect up to about 30 to 80 millimeters of rain today. The monsoon showers will continue throughout the day and is expected to become a bit more sporadic later in the afternoon and finally come to a halt later in the evening. Now, down in the southern areas of Gyeonggi and Gangwon Province, there are heavy rain warnings that are under effect, so please do be careful. When heading out this morning, all I can say is that one umbrella probably won't do you much justice due to the gusty winds and the heavy rains that we are receiving. So make sure to gear yourselves up, maybe with some rain boots or maybe a raincoat like I am, just in case. Now, as for the temperatures, Seoul will start out at about 25 degrees Celsius and peak all the way up to 28 degrees. Down in the southern half of the nation, heat wave advisories are still being issued. It looks like that will continue until this Thursday. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the temperatures around Korea. Now, Daejeon looks similar to Seoul with highs at 29. Daegu, Gwangju, and Jeju will be the hottest with highs at 33 degrees. Tomorrow, we will be seeing mostly cloudy skies with chances of sporadic rainfall. Looks like the monsoon season will continue until this Wednesday. Please be cautious on the roads as I'll be back in the latter half.
A 6-week intensive academic summer program is currently underway at one of Korea's most prestigious universities, Korea University, and a professor from Cornell University is here to teach about history.
That's right. Professor John Weiss, he is a professor of history at Cornell University. He's here to teach the kids on the subject of history through this intensive project, this program. Now, what does he exactly want to convey to his students that are taking his courses on Korean history and more? We'll find out next.
A lecture on the history of the UN is taking place at Korea University as part of its summer program. And here we met Professor John Weiss, a veteran who was on tour in Korea 48 years ago.
Of course, I knew that the country existed, and I had followed the Korean War, so I knew about that. I was alive at that time, so I knew about it. Otherwise, I didn't really know very much. I didn't think about Korea very much until I began to teach and meet Korean students, and to really understand Korean students more, but also to talk about Korea with them, and that's when Korea sort of stayed there.
Weiss's experience in Korea became the foundation for his interest in Korean history. For American historians, Korea was a nation with a unique culture that had yet to be discovered.
When I encountered a book that spoke of Korean culture as a secondary culture, as an inferior culture to Japanese and Chinese culture, when I read that in the book, then I was angry, and I knew that Korea was still in my heart. Yeah, I mean, I think that no, I understood the long history of Korea once I began to read about it a little in the Army. It is a nation from Silla, the Three Kingdoms on. It was Korea, one language, and in many ways one people. So there was that special aspect, but that was backed up by a language and by a history that was special, by the kingdoms.
Weiss believes language is the basic requirement for reading and learning a nation's history.
To learn it, and some of it is a bit difficult. Right now we started with the double consonants, right? The ba and the sa and the ch, all right? That's, yeah, those are the difficult parts.
And that's why Mr. Weiss is currently learning Hangul, or the Korean alphabet.
저는 John이에요.
오, 잘했어요. 잘했어요.
Yes, I think I like to learn language, but look, as a historian, no one can really write the history of a country without knowing the language. You can't do this. You can write the history of international relations. You do that, but you know, when you're interested in a country, you know. When I wrote about France, I wrote French history. I had to know French. Italian history, I had to know Italian.
History is something President Park Geun-hye has also emphasized the importance of, but at the same time, history has always been a hot potato here in Korea. Weiss believes that history is more than just remembering facts from the past.
I find it very sad and very dangerous that, in fact, Korea has stopped making the study of history mandatory. History is a set of arguments, and you have to learn some of the facts to be able to make the argument. So you have to learn how to choose those facts and why you should ask one question and not another. And that's an important question, and if you forget history, you forget how to ask why.
Weiss says history is the foundation for a nation and its people. In order for Korea to know its history, he says Koreans must show interest and be able to reflect upon it. Weiss's message for younger Koreans is closely related to this.
Don't forget history. History is a way you learn about yourself and you learn about the people around you. So ask the right questions of history and enjoy history as a story too, and its drama. That our great poet Shakespeare gave, to yourself be true. Don't fool yourself. Admit to yourself what your weaknesses are and what your strengths. And I think that Koreans can probably do that even better than Americans. I think that Koreans will be true to themselves, but that's something to do.
There definitely is something special about history. It's one of those subjects that you grow fond of the older you get. Now, John Weiss, when it comes to history, he did mention a lot about Korean history, and when it comes to Korean history, you can't leave out Japan. Japan has played a large role in some of the darkest years of Korean history, and there are also some differing opinions on the historical aspects of the two countries.
And Mr. Weiss said that Japan needs to be able to look at history objectively and look at face its wartime aggression, including its coercion of sexual slavery during World War II, while Korea needs to be able to look at history and deal with the thorny issues, including the Japanese collaborators during these wartime aggression, and also that they need to be able to have an open discussion about these historical issues.
And apart from that, Korea has transformed from an aid-receiving country to an aid-providing one in such a short period of time. And Professor Weiss says that there are not a lot of textbooks, history books in English are published that explains that aspect of Korea's history well enough. So that is something that we should think about too.
And something that he could help us with, teach the public, right?
So we hope his students at Korea University who are taking this intensive program take home what they can. All right, it's 7:27 a.m. on Korea Today, and coming up, do you know what a kidult is? Well, if you look at...
I'm looking at one right now.
This is your perfect example of a kidult. But if you still don't know what it is, well, it's been around. It's a term that's been around for about a year or so. We'll find out a bit more. Joining us is Audrey Young. This is becoming a popular new trend, providing people with more places to visit and more activities. So if you're a kidult, we invite you to this era of entertainment.
Good morning, I'm Chun Sung Cho, and it's time for Hot Clicks. Hollywood star Hugh Jackman was in Korea last week to promote his latest movie, Wolverine. Jackman was once selected as a goodwill ambassador for the Seoul Metropolitan Government in 2009, and his affection for Korea has been expressed in yet another way. Jackman is set to buy gifts for his family every time he's in Korea. Last time he bought a hanbok, Korea's traditional dress, and a doll for his daughter. And indeed, a photo of her wearing hanbok was revealed in no time. He also bought a Korean flag for his son, and the flag is said to be still hanging in his room. And many are wondering about this. His promotional tour for Wolverine has Korea as the only stop in Asia. Is this due to the development of the Korean film industry or because of his love for Korea? When I think of Korean comedian Kim Byung-man, the phrase "anything is possible" comes into my mind directly. And this photo of him, which has been creating a lot of interest online, will show you exactly what I'm talking about. So look at the photo closely. The person carrying the construction material, welding and installing windowsills, building the house, is none other than Kim himself. It turns out that he was taking part in a house building project. It was part of promoting the Hangul house, which is 93 square meters big and cost just under $90,000 to build, and this is excluding designing cost. Also, you might have noticed that the building is shaped like the letters from the Korean alphabet. The Hangul house is a modular home, and its design is meant to be easily constructed. I can't wait to see how it'll look like when it's done. For next, I have a video for you. It was produced by and featuring public servants, and it's making the waves online now. Let's take a quick look. This video breaks away from the conservative stereotype associated with government workers and introduces the digital land registration map system. It was put together from beginning to end by the Ministry of Land, Transport, and Maritime Affairs. The new system has a budget of $1.16 billion and will be brought online by 2030. Online users have shown support for the government's effort to reach out to the public. Any story that has to do with a romantic proposal will surely attract anybody's attention. And the portal site is receiving a lot of traffic after showing a unique and touching proposal video. A man, while he was traveling in New York, asked 100 random people to write messages to his girlfriend, telling her to marry him. He talked to people from all walks of life, and each message was photographed for her to see.
Nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say.
And what was her answer? It was yes, of course. A lot of people have been struggling with the humid weather, with the current monsoon season, but some companies are actually enjoying this unpleasant weather, with sales skyrocketing. So what's selling so well? Let's take a look. At the top of the list, dehumidifiers, registering record sales due to the heat wave and early rainy season. Compared to 40,000 sold in 2009, this year, a total of 1.45 million is expected to be sold. Even if the final number is less than expected, it'll still be a considerable jump from previous years. And also, stricter regulations on government offices and large public buildings and using air conditioning has made USB-powered fans more popular in the workplace. So basically how it works is you use it by connecting it to your computer, just like you would with any other computer accessories. Very simple, right? And last but not least are the rain boots. And as you can see here, there's a vast variety of colors and designs hitting the market.
Those rain boots would certainly come in handy on a day like today.
Yes, I actually bought a pair of rain boots myself for this rainy season to prepare for the monsoon season. And a pair of rain boots is a must-have item for people these days. And here's a fun fact. With the popularity of rain boots, sales of socks and stockings to match with the rain boots have dramatically increased as well. Do you guys have any plans to buy some of the items that I just mentioned?
What about you, Young? Rain boots?
No, I've never purchased
a
a pair. I've never
doable?
had one. It's more of a fashion item now, and it's very popular with the women, I think.
Yeah, it's a fashion statement, and I'm planning on buying one of the dehumidifiers. It's so stuffy.
The dehumidifier,
unimaginably,
right?
yes.
Those things are big these days. I'm surprised you didn't wear the rain boots today. Today was the day to wear it.
Right. And talk about that proposal. What do you think of that?
That proposal. You know what? Every time someone comes out with a new idea idea for a proposal, it just sets the bar higher and higher for men. Guys just don't know what to do anymore.
Your chance is over. So
Yeah,
lucky that you're already married.
I had it simple back in those days when it was just will you marry me, and that was it.
Yeah, sometimes the expectation has gone up.
Yes,
Right.
definitely.
Thank you, Sang-cho.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, wrong script. Supposed to say, will you marry me on there, but let's talk some sports instead. The East Asian Cup may not have some of the top players from the European teams playing in it, but it does have a very important plot. This is the first time that Korea's senior national team is playing under the leadership of Hong Myung-bo, the man who captained Korea to the semifinals of the World Cup in 2002 and the man who coached Korea to the bronze medal at last summer's Olympics in London. But hey, all those accolades, they could become distant memories if he can't get his newly adopted team to win now. His first test was Saturday night against Australia, and despite Korea ridiculously outplaying Australia in every aspect of the game, the one thing they couldn't do was score. The two teams settled for a scoreless draw to open the tournament, but Hong Myung-bo can take some positives out of this game. Considering Korea dominated the Socceroos in time of possession, attack zone possession, shots on goal, corner kicks, just about everything he could come up with other than saves made. It wasn't the result Korea wanted, and while you could fault their finishing ability, the one thing you couldn't fault in this game was their effort. Korea's next game is against China. That will be Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Now, while the story on the men's side was all about how the team would respond to Hong Myung-bo, the story in the women's tournament surrounded the North Korean women taking on the South last night. Now, it was the first time in 8 years that North Korea sent a team to play in the South, and the women from the North did not disappoint. They were 2-1 winners over the South, showing their strength again on the women's side. South Korea's next match will be Wednesday at 5:15. Actually, just before the men's match, which will also be against China. Actually, both those games are at Hwasong Sports Complex. To baseball, KBO's All-Star Game was played Friday night in Pohang for a rare baseball treat in the southern port city. Daegu is geographically the closest KBO city, and the Samsung Lions do occasionally play there, so you could guess that perhaps the Eastern team was the home team in the Midsummer Classic, although officially they were batting as the road team. Let's go take a look at the game. The West was represented strictly by LG players in their starting lineup, including first baseman Kim Young-hee, who has to wait this one out to see if it's fair. It is, and that means it's a 2-run homer for the West, who take a 2-0 lead in the second. The East come back in the third, though. Shin Bong-gi with the Spider-Man helmet, got to check this out in a minute, takes this down the line to left. Jun Jun-woo chugs around to score, no chance on the throw, and the lead is cut in half. Yeah, there's the Spider-Man helmet there for you. In the seventh, Jun Jun-woo takes Song Chang-sik downtown to Gwanghwamun. That's a 2-run shot, making it 3-2 for the East. Chun Jun-woo, actually the game's MVP, going 3 for 4 with the game-winning home run. East go on to take this one 4-2, your final. Over in the majors, Chu Shin-soo picked up right where he left off going into the All-Star break. He was hot going in, and the Cincinnati center fielder wrote a 12-game hitting streak going into the Midsummer Classic. With the pair of hits this morning against the first-place Pirates, Chu extended his hitting streak to a personal best 15 games. Also consider Seattle's Kyle Seager was 0 for 4 on Saturday. So Chu Shin-soo's hitting streak is the longest active streak in the majors right now. He's now hitting .292 on the season. Meanwhile, Lee Dae-ho started at first base for the Pacific League and had a hit Friday in the first game of the Nippon League's All-Star Game. That game ended in a 1-1 draw. Saturday, Lee Dae-ho was 0 for 2 in a 3-1 loss to the Central League. Their third and deciding game goes tonight. And back to some football. Jeju and Incheon were the only two teams that hadn't played their 19th games of the season in the K-League Classic so far going into the weekend. They met yesterday for the only game, and you have to check out this first goal. You are not going to believe this. Check it out. 40-minute mark. Kwon Jung-hyung takes a free kick. No one gets it in the air. Takes a totally big bounce that fools Jeju keeper Park Jun-hyuk, and somehow this goes in. That's right. It was a goalkeeper's goal. 72nd minute, Marin Howe rushes into the box and he's taken down. That would draw a penalty shot. Now, Pedro Jr. is the league's leading scorer, so they would get him to step up for the spot kick. It is his 14th goal of the season, good for a 2-goal edge now on Lee Dong-guk and Kim Shin-wook. Meanwhile, as for the game, this one would end in a 1-1 draw, 1-1 for Jeju and Incheon. Crazy goal, though. I guess you didn't quite see the kick, but it was indeed the goalkeeper that took the shot, I guess you could say. Anyways, that is your look at sports. Remember to eat healthy and get some exercise today.
Now this is the rooftop camera. We're looking at this on top of our building, and it's raining so much you can hardly see what's behind us, right?
Yep, it just looks like a very foggy day. There has been a torrential rain warning that was issued in Seoul and the surrounding Gyeonggi provinces, and also a flood advisory that was issued in Seongnam in the Gyeonggi province. So if you are in those areas, of course, we are in the middle of Seoul. Do be careful out there. And morning commuters, you have to be very, very careful on the way to work.
If you have yet to leave your homes, make sure to carry an umbrella. And our Lee Da-mi was quick to move to indoors. She's joining us from an indoor location. Good morning, Da-mi. Back to you.
That's right. Korea Energy Management Corporation is located, and right now I'm inside the Green Energy Experience Hall. Well, I am on one of the many features itself. So as you can see, I am riding a wooden toy train, and basically what makes this locomotive a bit more special or unique compared to other transportations or other trains is the fact that this entire train is running entirely on energy made by, well, you can see humans. So through these exercising vehicles or bicycles, basically it produces energy, and that's what makes the train run. So I'm gonna go ahead and try it out myself. All right. Woo! Is it working? Okay, yes, the train is moving. Okay, wow, it's a bit more difficult than I expected, but what's great is that you get to hit two birds with one stone. Actually, I remember about a year ago on Korea Today, I went to an eco-friendly model home, and they had the same method where you could ride on a bicycle and kind of exercise, but what it does is it produced energy and saved it so that you could use it for later. Now here at the Green Energy Experience Hall, there are lots of experiences that you can try out. Also, you can learn more about energy itself and how to use it more efficiently. And right now what we're seeing is just some of the ways that renewable energy can be made through nature, whether it be through water or the sun or even the wind itself. Now, what we're seeing right now is just a model of a parking garage, but not for cars, actually bicycles. Now, they say that in Germany, there is one that is currently being used, and in Korea, hopefully we'll see one in the future as well. Now, with one of the ways that you can really save energy is through transportation. These days, transportation is actually becoming much more eco-friendly. There are buses that are running on natural gas. Even hybrid cars are being seen on the streets more and more these days. And a lot of people are making use of bicycles. And they say that the number one reason, or one of the major reasons why people are using bicycles is because parking is such a hassle. But here in Korea, they make it much more convenient for bicycle users because there are a lot of bicycle racks that you can make use of. Well, coming here today, I must say that I learned a lot about energy itself and how to use it more efficiently. So if you just need a little push on, how to save energy and how to use it more efficiently, then you should definitely come by the Green Energy Experience Hall. That's all I have for today. I'll see everyone tomorrow. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
If you're looking for the definition of a kidult, he is the quintessential kidult. So explain to us, enlighten
look in
us
the
what it
Korean
is.
New Coin Word Dictionary and look up kidult, and you'll have young Kim now. And what a kidult is a person who embraces, it's not really a kid, embraces the things that kids used to love, including video games. We're talking about animations, cartoons, remote control,
Those
radio control planes, those
figurines.
figurines that I was looking at this morning. I was looking at a new Iron Man figurine. I didn't get, not for my son.
All right,
not for
so
me.
enough from young Kim. We have another kidult joining us, Audrey Young. Are you one yourself? No.
No, but as we have a live one here, that's more than enough for Korea Today viewers today. Good morning. As you mentioned, the kidult culture in Korea definitely is undergoing changes and expanding day by day. So let's see how some of these changes are taking place. It's been 10 years since the term kidult, or adults who embrace children's hobbies and emotions, first appeared. Chang Ji-ung is considered an kidult. He likes various dolls, but teddy bears are his favorite. Chang spends between $20 and $2,000 for a single item, and for kidult toys, he's willing to spend the extra money.
Other dolls simply look cute and pretty, but this teddy bear, even when it has only one expression, it conveys
Chang's
comfort
hobby
and
is
safety.
to look through teddy bears.
And that's why I like it. It's my comfort item.
Chang's hobby is to look through teddy bear related products online, but he doesn't order online because it takes time for it to be delivered. Instead, he visits one of his favorite stores.
It's the 직접 수령 option, where
Right.
you go and get it.
Wow.
In the past, there were only a few kidults, but now they are becoming a larger consumer group, and the number of shops catering to them has increased. Korea's kidult market is worth US $446 million. It's small compared to $13 billion in the US and $5.2 billion in Japan, but worth taking note of.
잘 좀 넣어주세요. 얘가 숨을 쉬어야 되기 때문에.
No.
Really excited,
Needs to
because
breathe.
now it's
Wow.
really mine. It has become a member of the family.
Man, he's a couple steps ahead of me, I think. I'm not there yet.
It's good to know.
Experts say that this is a way for adults to relieve their stress in a society full of competition. In the beginning, kidults were treated as adults who weren't mature, but not anymore.
Korean society is now more tolerant of people who have different tastes and hobbies. Toy manufacturers don't think of their target audience as only children anymore. In Japan, toys and animations geared towards adults have been made. Toys are for children, but now adults can see products that suit their taste as well.
Kidults are seen as people with unique hobbies, and this group is becoming a cultural phenomenon. Many places that help spread kidult culture are popping up. These places feature nostalgic interior designs and are targeting not just kidults, but adults in general.
Now, Tulli, I'm talking here.
I love Tulli, the dinosaur.
This kidult restaurant is visited by not only women in their 20s and 30s,
We adopted a
but also
kidult
men in
concept
their 30s
in
and
order
40s.
to make our place more approachable to diners. 90% of all items in display here are from my own collection.
The Hongdae area is known for its unique places, and there's a space for kidults. Besides kidult toys, there are magazines from the 80s and 90s, and even stamps. This place is popular among people in their 20s and 30s since they grew up in that period. It is now a must-visit place for not only kidults, but also college students.
Seeing the toys I used to play with when I was a kid brings back memories.
I visited an exhibition that kidults would definitely love. The exhibition's main target is children, But when I was there, I saw many adults as well, and they were having a great time.
Wow, you see some characters like Cannibal. Some Korean characters, a lot of them.
I realized the toys are not just for children, but they've developed so that adults can enjoy them as well.
And for a moment, I became a kidult. I played with the dolls just like I did as a child.
Ballerina outfit. It's actually quite fun to play with those, though.
According to one survey, 3 out of 10 claim they are kidults.
Now I feel like a real princess.
It'll be interesting to see how the kidult culture evolves in the years to come.
Now, should I be worried that I know about 70% of the characters that came out right there?
And should I be worried that I really got excited watching those dolls?
I'll just think
There's
that
the
it's
kid in
because
you.
you two have kids.
Well, how has this kidult industry caught on like this so much?
Well, experts say it's a way for people to have an outlet for them during these times of uncertainty and instability because of the slump in the economy. Basically, a lot of people miss their childhood days, and they miss the days of when they didn't have responsibilities. And so it's kind of an escapism. And so they don't necessarily have to buy the dolls or the toys, but as long as they get to go to exhibitions like these or visit places that cater to kidults, that's just the type of atmosphere that they can enjoy and escape from these responsibilities.
And that sense of nostalgia, definitely.
Right.
I wanted to mention that. Can I give you an opinion of an actual kidult? It's because they have all the things that you wanted as a child, but you couldn't afford it back then because you had no money, and now you do have money.
Have the financial means.
Exactly. You buy some of these things and put it up there, and I'm just exposing too much about myself.
I mean, yeah, when Audrey said the slumping economy, I was thinking, one would think that people would restrain from actually spending more, but that kind of explains you don't necessarily have to spend money on it, but it's more like an investment, I guess.
It is. I mean, now we're hearing terms like Lego investment, and what we saw in Polala, which is
Pororo.
No, Polala
Polala.
Museum.
But it's derived. It actually is derived from Pororo as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good one that you picked up. And so what we're seeing now is that we're moving from an online market, and it's being transformed into an offline setting, and that's becoming more popular.
Right.
All
And
right.
people are like young Kim. They're not afraid to say that yes, I am a kidult, right?
Yeah, right. Admit it.
I am a kidult.
I'm a kidult myself too.
And I don't want to grow up. I just want to be that kidult.
Okay, now I am worried.
All right, let's. Thank you, Audrey, for that.
Thank you.
Now there has been a torrential rain advisory or a warning in Seoul and the Gyeonggi province, and we're going to take a look at Yongin, where Tommy is at. That's right next to the city of Seongnam, where there is a flood advisory that's been issued. Tommy, how is it looking over there?
All right, well, two hands up. I think I'm going to have to say I am a kidult myself. But going to the weather, giving you just a bit of an update. I am reporting live from Yongin, Gyeonggi province. Right now, we aren't seeing heavy rains here in these areas. But like Young mentioned, over in Seoul and in some of the areas of Gyeonggi province, such as Seongnam and Yangpyeong, there are heavy rain warnings that have been issued. As of now, in Seoul, the Chamsu Bridge and also Cheonggye Stream is blocked. So do keep that in mind with your morning commutes. And all I can say is make sure to gear yourselves up with rain gear, such as your umbrellas, your raincoats, or even your rain boots as well. But I did receive a message, I think it's from the government, or just a warning message saying that on days like this, not going out is probably the way to go. And please be cautious on the roads, and that's all for your weather update.
So you heard, Tammy, the Chamsu Bridge and the Cheonggye streams have all been closed off. So if you do take the Chamsu Bridge on your way to work, maybe find another route.
You're going to have to go over the Pampo-daegyo, which is right above that. Anyhow, it is a hairy day out there today, raining cats and dogs. Be very safe on the streets today.
Thank you for watching. See you back here tomorrow.